Welcome to Super Tuesday, presented by Boost Mobile. You're watching the ACC on ESPN tonight from PNC Arena in Raleigh, home of the 23rd ranked North Carolina State Wolfpack. They'll take on number 3 Virginia, the Cavaliers, the reigning ACC regular season and tournament champions, and the Cavaliers right in the fight for another title. One of 4 teams with a single loss in ACC play this season. North Carolina State at 4-3 and hoping for a signature win. Reese Davis, LaFonso Ellis here. Brooke Weisbro joins us in just a second. Fonz, at the Wolfpack, they're going to win this game at home tonight. All they got to do, throw in some threes, take care of the basketball, which might be a pretty tall order against this Virginia defense.
No question. This is the Virginia defense that's 3rd in the nation in defensive efficiency. Unreal. Holding teams to 53 points per game. Yet they're not just a defensive team. They have great offensive balance led by Kyle Guy, who leads the ACC in 3-point field goals made per game. Going to have to neutralize Kyle Guy to have a chance to win the game tonight.
And Brooke, North Carolina State has some parts that could give Virginia trouble tonight.
That's right. The Wolfpack is facing a pack line defense for the 2nd time in a week. The first was against Louisville, and the Cardinals forced a season-high 23 turnovers. But guys, remember, point guard Markel Johnson did not play in that game. So with him back in the lineup, NC State has their best ball handler, playmaker, and 11 more points a game. Markel scores 60% of his points after halftime, so we know how valuable those will come against the best defense in the country.
Part of that rally on Saturday, Brooke, that let North Carolina State come back in the closing seconds to beat Clemson on a buzzer beater by Braxton Beverly. Wolfpack controlled the tip, and there is Markel Johnson with the ball first against that pack line defense. Already a deflection for UVA. Torin Dorn driving in, and there's a whistle, and he stepped on the baseline. And we're going to say pack line defense a lot tonight, Fonz. Tell us exactly what we're talking about here.
And all it means is that if you're one away from the ball, you're playing in the gaps. 4 guys against the basketball, including the person who's guarding it. And so that's the biggest difference. Elbows and boxes, look for those areas to be filled to take away dribble penetration.
And C.J. Bryce putting pressure on DeAndre Hunter. Man, what a season DeAndre Hunter, number 12 in blue for Virginia, is having. Here's the Cavalier leader, Ty Jerome. Hunter wrapping around a screen, and he starts the scoring with a polite dunk.
And how about the patience when he curled off of that screen? A little shot fake, froze the defense, opened up the lane to be able to attack.
Crowd still filling in here in Raleigh. Students are here. It's a rainy night, some colder weather coming in. We'll see how that impacts them. They were expecting a near capacity crowd as the hero of the Clemson game, Braxton Beverly, who hit the game winner, misses his first 3-point attempt of the night.
And Reese, that's something that's going to be huge for NC State. They have to be able to make 10 or more threes in this game to loosen up that Virginia defense.
Ty Jerome called for the travel.
Did you see how he looked? Yeah. He's like, what are you talking about, ref? I didn't travel.
But he most certainly did. Ty was trying to get away with one. The 10 threes you mentioned would be a tall order. The most threes that Virginia has allowed in a game this year is 8 on Saturday against Notre Dame, a game they won by 27 points.
Got to reverse the basketball and get them on the weak side of the floor.
C.J. Bryce, the transfer from UNC Wilmington. Wyatt Walker dumps it. Walker also a transfer from Samford, a graduate transfer. Bryce rattles it home to even the score at 2.
Yeah, C.J. Bryce has been absolutely magnificent over his last 4 games, averaging about 13 points a game. How about 18 over the last 4? Has really raised his level of play.
C.J. started his career at UNC Wilmington. That's where he played for Kevin Keatts, the North Carolina State coach. He followed him here. Kevin had said he really didn't want to take Wilmington players. It wasn't, something he was planning to do as Ty Jerome scores. But once CJ decided to transfer, some other teams in the ACC were recruiting him too. And he's, I don't want to play against him. I'd already gotten him to Wilmington. So CJ is having a good first season here with the Wolfpack.
Took a visit to South Carolina when South Carolina made that Final Four run, and coach thought he was gone, but wanted to really play for Coach Keatts, and that's turned out to be a good situation for C.J. Bryce.
Virginia was poking around a little bit too with CJ. CJ actually played against Virginia in the NCAA tournament. Yeah. Wilmington pushed the Cavaliers. Turned out to be CJ and Kevin Keats' final game with Wilmington. It was a 5-point victory for the 5th seeded Cavaliers back then. Virginia, which plays that methodical tempo, they pushed it to a 6-2 lead. Torin Dorn has it knocked away and out of bounds. Shot clock is sitting at 18, and there are your keys to victory. Finds his focus.
Indeed, you got to limit the turnovers. You talk about an NC State team that's turned the basketball over 19 times per game over the last 2, and to loosen up that Virginia defense, got to be able to make some threes. 10 or more will get it done tonight for North Carolina State.
Braxton Beverly hits his first.
And Reese, this is important as North Carolina State makes baskets, whether it be half court, full court, or from the foul line. It allows them to get into their full court pressure, and they're at their best when they're pressing you, turning you over, getting out in transition.
Kyle Guy called for the offensive foul. Good defense by Wyatt Walker.
Folks, watch as this basketball swings from the center of the floor. Now all of a sudden you have DeAndre Hunter, number 12 in blue, coming up short against Braxton Beverly, who can really knock down the three. Too much room for him.
Opening moments here in Raleigh. Virginia with a 6-5 lead. Torin Dorn at his path cut off by Mamadi Diakite. Here's Johnson stepping back. Johnson is an aggressive shooter, and he is not bashful.
Yeah, he's better when he's getting his teammates involved in the first half. He's had some explosive second halves, including 14 of his 16 points coming in the second half against Clemson.
Kyle Guy draws some contact. There you get Bryce on the foul. Kyle Guy will go to the free throw line. Excellent free throw shooter, steps to the stripe when you come back to PNC Arena. Virginia with the 1-point lead in the opening moments.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Boost Mobile. Boost makes it easy to switch. Switching makes it easy to save. And in part by TGI Fridays. In here, it's always Friday.
Decade it's been for Virginia under Tony Bennett in his 10th season. 6 straight years with at least 23 wins. The UVA record 5 consecutive trips to the NCAA tournament, 2014 and 2018. The Cavaliers won both the ACC regular season and tournament titles. And defense is the calling card. They've led the nation in scoring defense for the last 5 years. The one year they didn't, they were second, and they're back on top in that category by about 4 points over Michigan right now. Part of that is pace, but they also play excellent defense.
Oh, no question about it, Reese. And the one that jumped out at me was they're 13-1 over the last 2 years in ACC road games. So it's one thing to be able to win on your home court, but it's a different deal to be able to go out on the road in a rugged ACC and get wins. That defense surely carries.
And that one loss was the barn burner against Duke on a Saturday night, and there will be a return engagement between those two in Charlottesville coming up in a little over a week. Freshman Jericho Helms has checked in for North Carolina State, number 4, and there's a foul out on the perimeter. And did you see, Jack Salt's called for the foul? Did you see what Markel Johnson did there and exactly what he was told to do in shoot around today?
Exactly. Coach Keats told all of his guards when they come off of the ball screens, because of how hard and physical the Virginia bigs get out and try to prevent them from turning the corner on a hard hedge. He told them to throw their heads back when they feel the contact. A wonderful sail job there by Markel Johnson. Somebody was listening in shoot around today.
Got some other subs coming in. There is Kevin Keats in his 2nd season as a North Carolina State head coach. As mentioned, he was the head coach at UNC Wilmington, an assistant on Rick Pitino's staff for a few years in Louisville, including the Cardinals won the national championship in 2013.
And Reese, those open three-point shots, North Carolina State has to make those to give themselves a chance to win against the number 3 team in the country.
Just 1 of 5 so far in that category This is the freshman Kihei Clark, who's brought a little bit of a different dimension to Virginia's already vaunted defense. He's excellent as an on-ball defender and also can push if the opportunity arises. And a foul out on the perimeter, and they're going to get Bryce for a hold.
That may be, if that's on Bryce, C.J. Bryce, that's his second. That is huge for the NC State Wolfpack because of the scoring punch he's been able to give them, particularly over the last 4 games where he's averaging 18 points per game.
Bryce is going to have a seat. Remains to be seen if Keats will spin that wheel of fortune and bring him back in the first half. Eric Lockett has checked in his place. Also on the floor is number 0 in white, DJ Funderburk, who started his career at Ohio State. Mamadi Diakite, the second dunk of the night for the Cavs.
Yeah, Mamadi Diakite has really improved. I love the confidence that he's playing with, and he's terrific on the defensive end. Can guard 1 through 5 because of how well he moves his feet at 6'9".
Jericho Helms had a huge size advantage until Diakite came over and took it away. Lockett into the game and letting one fly. And there's a foul on the floor. And I think they're going to call Diakite for it as he was fighting with Funderburk.
Yeah, Virginia does an excellent job of setting screens. That time Diakite slips out of it, and there's no help on the weak side of the floor. And what a beautiful pass underneath by Ty Jerome.
So methodically, Virginia has built a quick 5-point lead. Diakite out hedging. And the pass for Funderburk was a little tall, and Diakite might have jammed a finger getting a hand on that. He's grimacing.
Yeah, I think he got hit in the breadbasket right in the belly.
Well, that'd be way worse than jamming your finger.
Indeed.
Here is Jay Huff from nearby Durham, North Carolina, who's coming in to give Diakite a chance to catch his breath. Let's see what happened to Mamadi. He touched it.
Well, it was on that exchange when he got out to give a hard hedge, and the guard ran right into him. You can see him hold his belly there right around where the number 25 is on the front of his jersey.
They've got a training staff over there. I certainly don't want to speculate. I didn't see him get hit, Fonz. I wonder if he just strained something momentarily. Hopefully it's not serious as Lockett has it roll off, and Braxton Key, the transfer from Alabama, the Cavaliers' leading rebounder, takes it off the glass. Ty Jerome, sweet off the window.
Yeah, you can't over pursue. Ty Jerome is great at turning back to the backside. One of the keys for Coach Keats of North Carolina State he talked about today is on all exchanges, force the basketball, force the person to the middle of the floor, and that time gave up the baseline.
Devin Daniels, a much needed 3 from North Carolina State. Virginia has the ball, and we've talked about how efficient they've been, Fonz. They haven't missed a shot from the floor, and I've turned it over a couple times. An offensive foul and travel, but perfect 5 for 5 out of the gate on the road.
Yeah, they don't turn it over. So efficient on the offensive end. Their bigs do a great job of screening. Their guards have excellent vision as well.
Shot clock at 5. Clark with a runner. It's an air ball. The tip back up by Keys, no good. And the first 2 misses of the night for the Cavaliers. Huff knocks it free. How about the big fella? Jay Huff getting down on the floor. But up top for Funderburk, and Huff hustling back and breaking up the play, Fonz.
How about the awareness by Jay Huff, folks? That's 7'1", giving his body up on the floor and then retreating to the basket to take away what would have been a clear alley-oop dunk on the inside by DJ Funderburk.
Huff setting the screen for Jerome, and now he'll run out to get another one, and Helms is going to be called for holding Ty Jerome, though he thought that the crafty veteran might have gotten away with a little push. Jerome's going to take a break as Kyle Guys returned. Super Tuesday presented by Boost Mobile continues tonight, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Kentucky coming off that victory against Kansas in Rupp Arena on Saturday night, going to Vanderbilt. It has been a tricky place for the Cats over the years. They've won 8 of the last 9 meetings. They've won 5 straight, but all of them by fewer than 10 points. As DeAndre Hunter has it slapped away and rejected by Funderburk, but a foul was called inside. Foul's going to be called on Eric Lockett.
Vandy's going to have to get a big night from Saban Lee, who's averaging about 23 points per game over the last two. And remember, they had Kentucky down 14-2. They played in their last game. Ooh, I thought that was a clean block over the top.
I think it was over the top, but they called the foul on Lockett before that. I think the Funderburk over the top was fine. The foul was called on Eric Lockett. North Carolina State with 4 team fouls. Virginia, which doesn't foul much, already with 3. There's 3 points on the night for DeAndre Hunter as he makes 1 of 2.
And folks, watch number 0 in blue, Kihei Clark. He gives this added dimension to a Virginia team that's already good defensively in the half court. He gets underneath you for 94 feet, which can make you awfully uncomfortable over the duration of this game. That's something that Virginia has not had in a long time, a guy who can guard 94 feet up the floor.
Shot clock at 2. Dorn off the front of the rim, last touch by Virginia. And it'll stay on this end with NC State, but we're at the 12-minute timeout. 11:55 left in the first half, and Virginia on the road has not let North Carolina State get a lot of momentum going. Let's take a look at this Capital One fan vote. If you are to assume that Tennessee, Duke, and Virginia have all earned #1 seeds, at least up to this point, who would you choose to be the 4th #1 seed? Gonzaga, Kentucky, Michigan, or Michigan State, who we'll see against Indiana on College Game Day this weekend, by the way. To vote, you can go to twitter.com/SportsCenter. And at the moment, John Beilein's Wolverines leading the way. Is that how, if you were in the room, would you cast your vote with the Wolverines?
I would definitely. Go ahead, Brooke.
Just listened in on the huddle, and Kevin Keats reminding his guys, hey, we're fine, just keep playing with patience. But the biggest thing that he emphasized was coming off the screens hard and being confident when they lift to shoot. They said, hey, we're not getting contested all that hard, so shoot with confidence. And then he looked right at Braxton Beverly and he said, keep doing your thing, put it back, and use that body and make sure you're trying to get fouls called. Eventually, they're going to call them.
Brooke, that was a nifty move by DJ Funderburk, but he didn't finish it. It's one of the things that they talked about in practice, that Virginia has a defensive reputation that sometimes it causes you to hurry a shot. Sometimes it causes a little discomfort because you're wondering who's coming. Is Braxton Key. It's a good feed from Clark. And Virginia has pushed the lead out to 15-8. As NC State has hit just 3 of its first 12 shots.
Yeah, Kihei Clark did a great job of selling that with his eyes to the middle of the floor until his teammate Braxton Key freed up underneath. A lot of times that doesn't open up until the last moment. What a beautiful play there by Virginia.
Braxton Beverly is second 3. He's got 6.
Reese, that's what we talked about earlier. NC State's going to need a lot of those to loosen up this anaconda python-like defense of Virginia.
Well, that's 3 of them, Fonz, but they could use a 2 or 2 to go with it. They've only made 1 2-point bucket so far tonight. Then you almost turned it over. Here goes Key again, driving, loses it on the way up, and went over the backboard. So even though Braxton got it back, it was deflected by North Carolina State. So Virginia will have it with 5 seconds left on the shot clock.
Kihei Clark doing a great job of selling to the middle with his eyes, finding Braxton Key wide open underneath the rim. And now all of a sudden, you get a little dribble penetration. Kihei Clark helps up, and that leaves Braxton Beverly wide open for 3. That's his second made 3 in this game. Gonna need 10 or more to win this game.
Diakite got loose inside. Out of bounds underneath play, a successful one for Tony Bennett. The crowd still reacting, thinking that no member of the Wolfpack touched the ball. Jamie Lucky saw it differently, though. Honesty compels me to say I thought Braxton just lost it on the way up.
I thought so too, yeah.
Funderburk misses. Dorn fighting for the rebound. So was Guy. It'll stay with the Wolfpack. Stay with this inbounds play, Fonz.
They did a great job of screening up inside, and no one gave any help. Miscommunication there, because you could switch it and stay with Diakite. What a nice job by Diakite, really forcefully cutting to the basket.
Diakite's been in double figures the last 2 games.
Yeah.
First time he's had consecutive double-figure games. He's already got 6 here in the first half, and now Diakite has a block. Wyatt Walker got it, and Jamie Lucky has a foul underneath, and Diakite is going to be called for his second foul of the first half.
And Reese, those opportunities are there on the weak side of the floor for NC State to get on that offensive glass, because when they go to help with the big, Wyatt Walker can just step right underneath. No one boxing him out, coming up with the second possession there for the Wolfpack. Well done by Wyatt Walker.
Wyatt Walker is a graduate transfer from Samford. Samford, a school in Birmingham, Alabama. Wyatt will have this season and one more to play for the Wolfpack. Kevin Keats has built his roster with a lot of guys who've moved on, but then again, a lot of teams in college basketball do that these days, as Markel Johnson goes all the way to the basket for his first bucket.
And Reese, that's what the made three-point shot does. Now all of a sudden it gives the ability for a guy like a Markel Johnson, who can create off the bounce for himself, an opportunity to be able to get into the lane. Well done there.
Clark trying to find room with the shot clock winding down to 5. There's Kyle Guy, who's way along on the three-point attempt.
Reese, I think the advance got to be a lot quicker for the Wolfpack. I thought they settled there.
Daniels to the bucket. He's got 5, and it's a 2-point game, and now we're getting the crowd alive. Jerome turns the corner. He finds Clark. Good close and good hands by Markel Johnson, who knocks it away. Clark saves it. Shot clock's right on top of him, and Jack Salt loses it. And the Wolfpack with a great defensive stand.
Reese, the help side defense for NC State has been terrific, but this is what the made three-point shots does for you, is now all of a sudden you get one-on-one opportunities with your best guys off the dribble. And what a beautiful drive there by Devin Daniels. And that's what you have to do, Reese. You got to be able to make some threes to spread that defense out, to make the gap helps a little wider. And now if you got guys that can create their own shot off the dribble, now you can get to that basket. And that's exactly what's happened on the last 2 offensive possessions by the Wolfpack.
A little 7-2 North Carolina State surge. They can tie or take the lead this trip for the lead. Wyatt Walker hustling and chasing it down. Daniels again. Walker on the offensive glass. This has been a good offensive rebounding team in North Carolina State. They weren't sure because of the size deficit they'd be able to do it tonight. So far they have. Mostly Wyatt Walker. Clark with a wild shot, didn't hit the rim. Shot clock still running. Inside 5, Ty Jerome. And another offensive foul called on the Hoos. First foul on Jerome. And the 4th turnover, uncharacteristic for the Cavaliers here in the first half. And we got a little something cooking here in Raleigh tonight, Fonz.
It's steaming, Reese.
Adnan Burke alongside Jay Williams, updating you on what's happening in Kansas and Texas over on ESPN. Here's Kerwin Roach.
The double to post. Osekowski makes a little kick pass, splash by Kerwin Roach. What a play.
Yeah, so right now Texas has the lead thanks to Papa Roach, 8-point lead. Also, Tennessee, they've won 14 straight games. They're leading South Carolina.
And now back to the angriest people we know, Fonz and Reese.
You know, Adnan, we've got a lot to be angry about. Tony Bennett might be a little miffed. His team typically very good at keeping the opposition off the offensive glass. But North Carolina State finds 7 offensive rebounds. They've rebounded more than half their misses so far.
Absolutely, and they've been able to come up with 7 points off of those. I thought that was a foul on Jack Salt there. Officials missed that one. And Wyatt Walker has 3 rebounds, all 3 of them offensive rebounds.
You don't see that very often.
No. But you know what, Reese, I said that to you during our break, is those opportunities are there against Virginia when you can get down in the gap, because the bigs come over and aggressively help, the weak side big should just crash the backboard each and every time, and that's exactly what Wyatt Walker has done here early.
DeAndre Hunter left it on the front of the rim. Here comes Markel Johnson. Markel, a junior from Cleveland, Ohio. Torin Dorn, number 2, is the leading scorer and rebounder from North Carolina State. He's been dealing with food poisoning, they think, the last couple of days. Torin's going to fire from 3. A little flat on the shot. Markel tried to throw it off of Kyle Guy. Salt and Walker both on the deck. We got folks getting after it.
About the 2 tallest guys out there on the floor and the 2 biggest guys giving up their bodies trying to come up with the possession for their team.
Earlier we saw Jay Huff get on the floor.
Yes.
He's 7'1". You big fellas getting some floor burns tonight.
I know. I think I'm going to try to get on the floor next time around.
I doubt it. You'll bend over at the waist. At our age, fine. That's it. No more floor burns, right? I was never big on the floor burns in the intramural leagues anyway.
Got numbers here.
DeAndre Hunter right over the top of Wyatt Walker, and DeAndre's got 5 to give Virginia back the lead.
Come on, Reese, you're a former baseball player. You got to be good with 1 floor burn. Come on.
Markel Johnson deep. Jack Salt clears it away. Is that a settle?
I thought that was a settle. Because Markel Johnson, even with Kihei Clark, number 0, guarding him, who can get underneath him, he can get into that middle of the lane and just rise up at 6'3" and shoot it over the top of the much shorter Kihei Clark.
A little high-low, Jack Salt. Jack Salt will have the opportunity for a 3-point play.
What a beautiful seal inside by Jack Salt. Folks, watch number 33 in blue here. Watch the seal. Anytime you have someone above you, want to walk them up the lane to increase the angle over the top. And what a beautiful pass over the top by DeAndre Hunter. That was beautiful high-low offense there by the Cavaliers.
Kevin Keith was talking today about seeing Jack Salt at ACC Media Day, and he said that is one giant human being. Not necessarily, he's listed at 6'10", but he is a strong, wide, sturdily built player.
I'm a little disappointed he cut his hair, though, because when he had the high-low kind of cut, he kind of looked like Ivan Drago in Rocky IV.
Jericho Helms, Thunderbird tipped it, but it was in the cylinder.
At least I don't know if that official could see it from that side of the floor. I thought that was clean.
One of the fans just yelled just what you said, right? He said, you're on the other side of the floor. Women's college basketball Thursday night showcase, UConn and Louisville top 3 matchup. UConn's won 17 straight against the Ville. The last time Louisville won, this will give you some perspective. The Fonz, Tony Bennett, Tom Gugliotta, and Bryant Stith were all rookies. Wow. Check out UConn and Louisville on the women's side coming up. Eric Lockett thought he had a clean pick.
Yeah, he did have a clean pick, but that was a long time ago, bro, since they've had that win. And Louisville coming off the win over Pitt where they made 11 threes. The problem is they turned the basketball over. 18 turnovers in that game. Can't turn it over against a really good UConn team that's excellent in transition.
Well, Lockett did get the steal. The foul was called on DeAndre Hunter. It just kept Lockett from having open floor in front of him. The 6th turnover already for Virginia on the night. They only average 8 per game. That's best in the country.
Active hands. The weak side of the floor defensively from North Carolina State's been early. That's what's created a lot of those turnovers for Virginia.
How about that play by Jack Salt again? Couldn't grab the ball, but he tipped it away to get it over to Ty Jerome. Salt has played well. That was an ill-advised pass by Jerome. Salt had to chase it down. It's not Jack's strong suit to then dribble in and initiate offense. It is Kyle Guy's strong suit. Somehow that rattled out on him. And there'll be North Carolina State ball. And Virginia's put the squeeze down on defense a little bit. After NC State pulled even, Virginia's up by 5.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Tostitos, for every kind of fan, and USAA. Insurance, banking, and investments tailored for the military community.
North Carolina State tied the game at 17, and now they haven't scored in 4 minutes. That'll happen when you play Virginia sometimes. North Carolina State has squeezed off 10 more shots than the Cavaliers so far in the first half, so they haven't shot it well, but by getting offensive rebounds, they've stayed in the game. And turnovers.
Absolutely. They've taken care of the basketball, only 3 turnovers in this game, and we talked about how important a 3 was. Have 3 made threes in this game, so have to continue to execute and try to get into that painted area.
Helms turns it over to Kyle Guy. Lockett back to contest. So too is Helms, and Guy draws the foul and will shoot a couple.
And just as we were talking about how well the Wolfpack has taken care of the basketball, they turn one over. Missed out. You can't miss out on too many opportunities against this Virginia team because there's just not enough possessions in the game to get back into it.
Kyle Guy, a rare free throw miss. Kyle came in shooting 87%. Junior out of Indianapolis.
Are Reese gonna be honest?
Yes.
I thought he traveled. I thought they missed an opportunity there.
Brooke, what do you have on Kyle Guy?
Well, as great of a shooter as he is, can you believe he actually used to shoot with 2 hands in 7th grade? It took one of his guidance counselors in grade school to work with him on this one-handed form shooting. He told me his favorite player is D. Wade, but he models his shooting style after Kobe Bryant because Kobe can get a clean shot and a square look on the fly no matter what the defense gives him. And I love what Kevin Keats had to say. He's like, it's annoying. He can always get square no matter how he starts.
That he can. And they can also play defense. That's the 18th shot clock violation Virginia has forced this year.
Yeah, unreal. I thought when Braxton Beverly, number 10 and White, got into the painted area, he gave it up too quickly, Reese. He had a nice little opportunity to just pull up for a little pull-up J at the ACC area, moved it to the other side of the floor. And when you're playing against a really good defensive team, you got to take the first good look you get.
Ty Jerome is a fiery leader, and he's letting Jack Salt have it about that pass a little bit. The 7th turnover for Virginia in the first half. That's just 1.5 short of what they average per game. Virginia has the lead. They're an excellent team. They have not been sharp.
They have not been, and he better be glad that Jack Salt is the consummate team player because at 6'10", 250, I think I'll take Jack Salt in that matchup.
Dane O'Neill of The Athletic wrote a great piece on Ty and that fiery temper he's had, and he's learned as he's played at Virginia that you have to communicate with different teammates in different ways. Foul is called on Jack Salt, his 2nd, and that'll bring us to the 1-1 for North Carolina State and Markel Johnson.
And Reese, this is where North Carolina State has been really good here in the first half. When they've been able to be patient, look for one-on-one opportunities to be able to get into the painted area. Now they find themselves in the bonus. I'd like to see them for this next 2 minutes, 25 seconds to continue to attack off the dribble.
I beg your pardon, it's Wyatt Walker going to the free throw line, and they would have much preferred to have seen Markel, I think, although the numbers on the season are about the same, but Wyatt left that one well short. NC State's been stuck on 17 since Tom Gugliotta played here. They'll have a chance to get off the schneid.
That's a long time ago.
Chris Corciani needs to get an assist for the Wolfpack soon. Coming up on the E-Trade halftime report, Adnan Burke, Seth Greenberg, Jay Williams. Ranked teams in the road test so far pretty good for this one. You also have Kansas on the road, and there's a big man breakdown. That's coming up in less than 2 minutes of game time. NC State needs a bucket. Torin Dorn's the guy who usually gets it for them, and he does.
And notice where it came from, Reese. Dribble penetration. North Carolina State's good enough to be able to make one-on-one plays in the lane. I like the decision by Torin Dorn, number 2 in White.
Finds that ended a 6-minute North Carolina State drought. Headed toward 90 seconds to play here in the first half. Guy leaves it for Jay Huff. Oh, Jay Huff from nearby Durham, North Carolina with his first deuce.
So did you see how far he took off of 2 feet? That was ridiculous.
Wyatt Walker inside. Now Huff comes to the other end and gets fouled. Have a look at this at this dunk from Jay Huff.
A little ball screen, little away screen there, and what a beautiful pass by my gosh, he jumped with 2 feet outside the lane, almost from that NC State. It's unbelievable length there by Jay Huff.
It's the second time in the last couple of weeks I've seen Virginia, and Jay has had a best of times and worst of times.
Yeah.
Very close fashion both times. He had a big dunk at Duke.
Yes.
And then moments later, for eternity, was immortalized on a poster by Zion Williamson. He was on the business end of one of those Zion dunks.
Well, there are a lot of people who've been on the business end of that one.
Walker made the free throw, and he's made another. He's got 4.
And this is why we have ourselves with a 4-point game. NC State's done a great job of limiting their turnovers, only 4 in this game, and we talked about them having to make 10 or more threes. The 3 ball has loosened up that defense, which has allowed them to be able to get into the paint.
Braxton Key had a great idea, but he threw it so high that maybe Zion Williamson, the only guy who could catch it, Anthony Davis or somebody, just
Ralph Sampson could have caught it.
Ralph could have gotten it.
7-4. He's been up.
Blake Harris, transferred from Missouri, number 55, has checked in from North Carolina State for this final minute of the first half. Devin Daniels gets into the paint, and Virginia knocks it away from him, and somehow Torin Dorn got it back and stuck it in the bucket. Dorn averages 14 a game, his 4 coming in the waning moments of the first half, and NC State has closed to within a bucket.
Reese, whatever you do not leave Kyle Guy, number 5 in blue. He is terrific in these situations.
Very quiet night for Kyle so far. Ty Jerome, Braxton Key. What a look from Jerome as Virginia finishes on a high note. Boy, Ty Jerome just finds a way. Methodical, gets open. 4-point lead for Virginia. Let's go to Brooke.
All right, Coach, a very intense first half of your team. What did you like most about what you saw defensively?
Well, I thought we defended because we were there on all of the shooters. We've got to do a better job in the second half. Too many breakdowns where they're curling and getting easy baskets.
How about you guys managing the ball, just 5 first-half turnovers?
Well, I thought our guys did a great job. I told them be patient, don't get frustrated. I thought we did well with that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brooke, Kevin, thank you very much. Got a good one going here in Raleigh. Number 3, Virginia with the lead. We'll take you to the E-Trade halftime report right after these messages.
Welcome back to the E-Trade halftime report.
Coach, what are you seeing here? Virginia up by 4 at the half.
Yeah, Virginia's turning the basketball over, and they're not doing a very good job on the defensive end, but yet they're finding a way to stay ahead. Mabou Diakite gave him a really good first half. He does a nice job of protecting the rim.
I also think that they need to continue to run NC State off the 3-point line. They allow NC State to make 3 threes in the first about 6 or 7 minutes of the ball game. Continue to do that in the second half.
Tempo, though, baby. Cavs are owning it. Embrace the pace.
Yeah, right now slowing this sucker down. Virginia has that 4-point lead. You mentioned Diakite, Coach. Certainly he was good in this first half as this has been the E-Trade halftime report. Reese, Fonz, Brooke, second half coming up.
This halftime report is presented by E-Trade, the original place to invest online.
You're watching Super Tuesday presented by Boost Mobile from Raleigh, North Carolina. Number 3, Virginia never trailed in the first half, but they also are out of the woods against North Carolina State. 27-23, Reese Davis and LaFonso Ellis. Virginia shot better than 60%. NC State a little over 30%. Yet the Wolfpack, when you take a look at the numbers, they found a way to stay in it.
Absolutely. I thought the defensive end for the Wolfpack was terrific. They were early, especially Wyatt Walker, took a couple charges, forcing Virginia to turn that basketball over. 8 turnovers in the first half. Virginia only averages 8 turnovers per game on the entire year.
North Carolina State, the fewest points they've scored in a half this year. Finds Virginia, which is in the top 15 in the country in 3-point shooting, only tried 1 and missed it. So what's Tony Bennett thinking, Brooke Weisbrod?
Well, Fonz, you hit hit it right on the head. Virginia at 8 turnovers in the first half, already meeting their average. And I talked with Tony Bennett about that, and he said, yeah, NC State's defense really locking us up right now. So turnovers and rebounding has got to be a focal point for our team in the second half. I also asked him how he gets Kyle Guy more involved in the offense, and he was just really impressed with NC State's defense. Kyle with just 1 3-point attempt in the first half. He said, we got to get him loose, run him off some screens, and get him involved.
Brooke, his only points in the first half came from the free throw line. He was 3 of 4, but still the third-ranked team in the country has the lead on the road. Solid and efficient enough. The one area in which Virginia excelled, they outscored NC State by 10 in the paint, which is not surprising. Consider Clemson outscored NC State on Saturday by 24 points inside, so that's defensively been a bit of a problem area for NC State. They're not the biggest team in the world, and there's Kyle Guy right on cue and can't get it to go.
Beautiful action, though.
And Braxton Beverly was trying to drive, and he's fouled by Ty Jerome.
Yeah, Ty Jerome's done that a couple of times here in this game where he's been out of position to guard and then swiping at the basketball. That's very unusual for anyone on the Virginia Cavalier team, especially number 11 in blue, Ty Jerome.
Torin Dorn was quiet for much of the first half, had 4 late points. The 3 leading scorers for NC State were all held in check. There's one of them, Markel Johnson, who finds Braxton Beverly. And rattled out on Braxton, and Jack Salt has no desire to lead the team up the floor with the dribble, so he gives it to Mamadi Diakite, and that's not necessarily his strong suit. And there's a 10-second violation, and the Virginia guards have to come and get the ball.
They do. They're just standing around looking, and you can see Ty Jerome right now, number 11, and number 5, Kyle Guy, really jawing at each other, saying one of us has to come back for the basketball.
You know, talking to some of the Virginia people at halftime, they wondered if Jerome and Guy were a little bit gassed, that they were almost deferring to each other a lot in just that issue and bringing the ball up the floor. Wyatt Walker, as Salt posted, tries to create a little space, and Wyatt Walker gets fouled by Salt, and he'll go to the free throw line. That's number 3 on Big Jack, the senior from New Zealand.
In shoot-around today, Wyatt Walker at times was catching the basketball down in the post or near the basket, and he was making too many moves. I love how decisive he's been tonight when he's caught that basketball in the painted area. One quick move and going up, drawing a foul. Well done by number 33 in white.
And Walker missed the first one. He's missed a couple of free throws tonight. ESPN and the ACC will bring you the ACC network in August. All of the universities on one big network. You can visit ACCN.com to learn more. In August 29th, I believe it'll be the debut of Jeff Collins, the new head football coach at Georgia Tech, against reigning national champion Clemson Tigers.
Is that my man Dabo Swinney?
That's your guy. You know what? We're going to Clemson in a few weeks. You haven't met Dabo. If Dabo's in town,
yeah,
we're gonna make that happen, and we're gonna get you on that slide in the football building.
I'm looking forward to it. I'll make sure I'm well dressed.
Jerome has it knocked away by Johnson. He was looking for Diakite. It'll be Virginia ball, 11 on the shot clock. Hasn't been a lot of pace to this game, or maybe a better word is rhythm. And Ty Jerome knocks down the 3. It's the first triple of the night for the Cavaliers, and Jerome has 7, and Virginia's lead's a half dozen.
40% from 3 on the year.
And Markel Johnson didn't have an alley, dropped that ball off to Walker, and it's a turnover.
Folks, this is a very difficult 3 here, but he gets that thing off with such quickness. He has such a quick release and a high release point. Tough to challenge that one over the top for a guard who's 6'5".
That's the thing. Jerome's a little bit bigger than you think. He's a crafty guy, changes speeds well, but he's not big enough to go over the top of Walker. NC State on the run. They'd like to be able to get something in transition, but the Cavaliers shut that down nicely. Here's C.J. Bryce, who didn't play much in the first half, with a couple of fouls.
And Reese, that's why I think Markel Johnson, number 11 in white, is not fully healthy yet. Usually when he gets in an open floor, he is to the rim, and that's 2 times now in this game that we've seen him not attack when he's had numbers.
He took a nasty fall in a game against Pitt, hurt his back and missed 3 games. Braxton Key on the offensive window twice. Now Diakite gets it back. Key's fighting for it. He pulls it out of there. DeAndre Hunter from the corner, and it's a 3-ball, and it's the biggest lead of the night for the 3rd-ranked team in the country.
A beautiful ball movement by Virginia. Had a wide open shot in the top, and yet gave it up to get an even better shot in the corner.
Ty Jerome acknowledging Braxton Key, who really kept that possession alive. Missed a couple in close, but he kept fighting for it, kept the thing alive, and Jerome eventually got the assist to Hunter, and the Cavs are up by 9.
We never ever stop now. Here we go into the
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Zaxby's, Chicken Fingers, Buffalo Wings, Zalads. Find a location at Zaxby's.com. And the makers of Aleve Back and Muscle Pain. All day strong, all day long.
Well, it's hard to come to Raleigh not think of that 1983 national championship team. Jim Valvano led. They won the ACC tournament by beating Wake Forest, North Carolina, and Virginia, and Ralph Sampson to take the ACC, and then went on and beat Hakeem Olajuwon, and Houston to become national champions. Just a little trivia question. Brooke, do you or Fonz, either of you know who North Carolina State beat to get to the Final Four that year in the Elite Eight? The silence is deafening.
Cricket's over here. I'm looking at Fonz like, you're more the expert, my man. What do you got? Notre Dame?
That is incorrect.
Okay.
Brooke. The answer is Virginia, again, for the ACC championship, and then beat them in the Elite Eight. Wow. I remember seeing Ralph Sampson slam the ball to the floor in frustration, knowing that he had been to the Final Four, but that he would not win a national championship. When Valvano and the Wolfpack, we saw Derek Wittenberg earlier tonight, who made the pass to Lorenzo Charles for that game-winning shot. As Virginia stretched the lead out to 11 now, and they have the ball in the early moments of the second half. And Kevin Keats talked about this today. You can't let this lead get too big, because the slow tempo of Virginia makes it much more difficult to come back, because, as you mentioned right off the top, finds fewer possessions.
Yes, indeed. And that's why when you get those open looks and the easy ones around the rim, you have to convert.
Virginia has stretched it out in the opening moments of the second half. Who's up 11? All right, Dave, a figurative polar vortex is hit here in Raleigh. It's mostly hit North Carolina State on offense. They're shooting 27%, and they've yet to have a field goal here in the second half. And just like that, C.J. Bryce warms things up just a tad.
And that's the guy, Reese, that I talked about when we were off air. C.J. Bryce picked up 2 fouls early, kind of took him out of the game. In order for NC State to win this game, C.J. Bryce has to have a huge second half. That's a good start for him.
Jay Huff, thank you very much.
Virginia's ball screen offense has been terrific. They've been able to find their bigs rolling hard to the rim time after time tonight.
That's something I talked to Tony Bennett about a little bit today. They've diversified on offense a little bit based on personnel and what he feels like they now have players that can do. You see a little bit more of that than maybe you did last year.
Yeah, a lot of that is his development of his players. Look at his ball screen here. Now all of a sudden you don't get the weak side coming over to take away the roller. And man, if you don't get to Jay Huff earlier than that, at 7-1 with long arms, he'll finish that all day long.
NC State wants to be a pressing team. They haven't had a lot of opportunities to apply that press because of the low shooting percentage. It's one of the things that Kevin Keats felt like could potentially give Virginia a little bit of trouble. There's been trouble for everybody trying to score tonight, no matter how they're trying to do it. They didn't hit the rim, so the shot clock's at 5. Not sure if Jerome knows it. He does now. Driving, Ty Jerome beats the clock.
He's so crafty, so crafty. 6'5" junior from New Rochelle, New York. Iona prep. Deep range on his 3 and so poised off the dribble when he's going to the basket. Plays with a chip on the shoulder, too.
Got a little New York attitude. Ty's from New Rochelle, played at Iona Prep. E.J. Funderburk gets it blocked by Jay Huff, who's having a nice homecoming. 13-point lead for number 3 Virginia. DeAndre Hunter. And still we have no scores in double figures. Hunter has 8 in ACC play. He's led Virginia in scoring in conference games. And a foul called on the floor as Bryce tried to get something going. Block was called on DeAndre Hunter. It's his second. Super Tuesday presented by Boost Mobile rolls on ESPN. Kentucky, which is improving and rather warm at the moment, taking on Vanderbilt. The SEC, sometimes Memorial Gym, benches at the end of the court, a little bit of a house of horrors. Kentucky's won the games, but Vandy's had a tendency to give the Cats a scare.
Absolutely. Reed Travis, P.J. Washington, Kellen Johnson, Tyler Hero, all 4 guys averaging double figures for the Cats. Vanderbilt cannot turn that basketball over because this Kentucky team is excellent in transition.
Markel Johnson just has to throw it toward the bucket. DJ Funderburk got shoved by Jay Huff, and Jay got away with it. Funderburk was going up for that rebound, and Jay gave him a little friendly nudge to make sure he stayed out of the way and didn't get caught.
I think the Wolfpack faithful saw what you saw.
Funderburk steals it, and they'll go head-to-head again. Funderburk, and this time they called it, and Funderburk finishes it.
How about the anticipation on the ball reversal at the top by DJ Funderburk, using that length to get out in the passing lane, showing a little dribble. And how about jumping into the body there of Jay Huff, number 30 in blue, draws the contact in the finish. An opportunity for a 3-point play here.
North Carolina State has kept Virginia from getting comfortable, and candidly, Virginia's been sloppy too. That's 11 turnovers, and Hunter going to the ground, so too to Jericho Helms.
I think it's a double foul.
Let's call a foul on everybody.
Foul on you, Reese.
That wouldn't be the first time somebody said that.
I'm interested, Reese, to see if they actually go to the monitor and see if there was a hook and hold.
Hook and hold, the rule implemented this year for player safety, where a player tries to deceive an official and hook his arm from underneath. Let's have a look and see what you think.
Yeah, I don't think there was a hook and hold there.
Neither, yeah. Jericho Helms and DeAndre Hunter are the 2 guys involved. It looked like they were just kind of pushing, trying to get position. Take another look and see if there's anything more there. You see Hunter coming in from the far side, and he kind of put his hand on Helms' back, and then Helms sort of.
Yeah, it looked like his left arm. Looked like Hunter's left arm got in there to create a hook, but I didn't think he held it. And you can tell when they were getting ready to fall to the floor.
Yeah.
So I didn't think anything was there.
We'll see if Jamie, Lucky, and friends agree with you.
I tell you what, though, Reese, I would like to see those reviews go a little quicker.
Yeah. Yes. I'd like to see him make the call and go that way. Now, the double foul possession was North Carolina State. Yeah. So they'll have the ball out of bounds underneath. 12:46 to play. Wolfpack trailing by 11. North Carolina State would like to get this crowd alive the way it was last night when a record number of people came into PNC Arena and heard Metallica. But there's been some Enter Sandman because there have been some sleepy moments in the first half. And now Doug Sermons and crew, they're going to get a hold of this game and make sure it doesn't get more physical. And DJ Funderburk is called for a foul on the offensive end, trying to get position, calling for the hold. And Keats frustrated with that call.
Yes, indeed.
And from the look you just gave me, I think you might be too.
Yes. Now, you mentioned Cher 2 nights ago, Metallica last night, but you forgot that the beautiful singing of Tony Bennett is in the house tonight.
This is where I'm tempted to mention a third Tony Bennett that Dick Vitale once mentioned on Selection Sunday, whose profession was not singer or coach and somewhat questionable morally in some eyes, as Ty Jerome knocks down the 3 and sort of methodically he's up to a dozen, and Virginia's pushed the lead to 2 touchdowns. That's danger zone against this team. A deflection and knocked out of bounds. And Fonz aptly used the metaphor of an anaconda. Sometimes Virginia just slowly squeezes the life out of you. And while they're squeezing, there's the occasional strike from long range. Cavs by 14. And Texas has lost 5 of 6 overall this season, lost by 10 in the SEC Big 12 Challenge to Georgia on Saturday. Of course, Kansas also came up short at Kentucky. Kansas is not the same type of overpowering team we've seen in recent years as Daniels with a strong move to the bucket.
Well, especially with playing without Udoka Azubuike, who makes the world of difference for Kansas inside. Can score it when you throw it into him. Good passer.
Virginia broke the press with ease, but Braxton Key couldn't finish. Markel Johnson. And Kyle Guy. Virginia has numbers, and Guy has it just pinned by DJ Funderburk.
This is where the Wolfpack have to score.
And in transition is Bryce. C.J. Bryce. That allows the Wolfpack to set up the pressure. They get it back down to 10 with a couple of quick transition buckets. Johnson wanted the call to go his way to get the ball. He's fortunate he wasn't called for a foul. He whacked Kie Clark right on the wrist. Finds the focus a little blurry right now for the Wolfpack.
It is when you consider the fact that the Wolfpack has missed their last 8 3-point shots. They're 3 of 16 for the game. They've not made one here in the second half. And we talked about their need to take care of the basketball, and they've got to knock down some threes.
DeAndre Hunter back into the game. He lost it on the way up.
That's a
foul is going to be called on Funderburk, which is his second and a little bit of a bailout.
That's a bailout.
DeAndre had already lost the ball.
Lost the ball as he was going up. That should be a no call.
Funderburk had nothing at all to do with DeAndre losing that one. Just popped out of his hand some way.
Yep, missed one there. This is a great officiating crew, but they missed one there.
Hunter now with 9. Mamadi Diakite returns. Jay Huff, who's had a productive night.
At least what that does is just takes away all the momentum that NC State has established, because they would have rebounded that basketball and gotten an opportunity to get it under 10.
That was a miss. Markel Johnson got the 3. Brooke told us early on he's a second-half guy, and boy, do they need him to be good in the last 10 minutes of this game if they're going to have a chance.
Markel Johnson, number 11 in white, and C.J. Bryce, 13 in white. They've got to get it going here in the second half.
DeAndre Hunter, that time, losing the ball was actually caused by a defender.
Indeed. How about Markel Johnson? A quick little dribble to get Kie Clark, number 0 in blue, backing up, creating the airspace to get that shot off. Need a lot more of that from number 11 in white here in the second half.
The last foul was called on Funderburk, who's been active. It was his 3rd. He started his career at Ohio State. It's a red shirt, and he went to Northwest Florida State Junior College before coming here to be a member of the Wolfpack. DJ will have a seat. Wyatt Walker returns, so too does Torin Dorn.
But the improvement, DeAndre Hunter, number 12 in blue on the foul line, has made, broke his hand heading into the NCAA tournament last year, had to play without him. And he's come back this season, worked on this game. He can face you up in the post, play with his back to the basket, pull-up game, and knock down the three.
Daniels for three. 2 in a row from beyond the arc for NC State, and they've cut that 14-point lead in half. 10 for the transfer from Utah.
We said the number was 10 or more. That's 5 made threes in this game now for NC State. They're second here in the second half.
Active hands from Daniels, knocks it out of bounds. It'll remain Virginia ball.
Tell you, I love Devin Daniels. He plays with a lot of moxie. Coming off the dribble penetration by Markel Johnson. Hands ready to shoot the rock, holding his follow through, and drills a big three for the Wolfpack. Jerome's had a bit of a hot hand. I'd like to see number 11 in blue touch the rock here.
And DeAndre Hunter is fouled. Foul's called on C.J. Bryce. That's his third. Only the 5th team foul. The crowd seeing a replay. And they thought Hunter stumbled over Braxton Key, which may have been the case, but Bryce was tangled up with Key over there. And now we're having another conference.
Ladies and gentlemen, we need to refrain from...
Jamie Lucky, Doug Sermons, A.J. Desai are the officials, and they just made an announcement here to ask the fans to refrain from throwing anything on the floor. I didn't see it.
The way you help us win, shout and cheer as loud as you can, all right?
And Kevin Keats working the mic.
Classy. I was wondering why Tony Bennett for Virginia was like looking at the floor. I thought maybe someone lost a contact or something.
Something barely came sailing out and escaped our attention. And lip readers out there and those who might have the net sound cranked know the displeasure of the Wolfpack faithful with the gentleman in stripes. It's a thankless job being an official sometimes. Great hands by Johnson. Key retrieves it, and Johnson picks his pocket. Markel Johnson, the hesitation, and Key recovers to keep him from going to the bucket. Evan Daniels. Now Ty Jerome has it. Let's see if he runs. DeAndre Hunter's running to the rim. Jerome pulls up. Ball's knocked out of bounds, and it'll belong to NC State. Diakite a little slow to get up.
A couple of those possessions now, Reese has got this fan base excited and into this game. And I thought that last possession by Devin Daniels, he has such a size advantage on Kihei Clark. When he gets in the middle floor, just slow down and shoot the basketball over the top. Missed opportunity there by the Wolfpack.
Kevin Keats said today that one of the benefits of that improbable rally in the waning seconds against Clemson Saturday was it made a pressing team believe they could always come back. They were down 14. And now it's 7, and a chance to get closer with Daniels. Shots blocked. Daniels gets it back. It's blocked again. Bryce, and blocked a third time by Diakite, but a foul is called by Jamie Lucky.
How about the activity that we've seen consistently on the offensive glass tonight from NC State? A nice drive by Daniels, denied by Diakite. Second one denied. And Bryce there, C.J. Bryce there, able to corral the offensive rebound. Opportunity for 2 free throws here.
That foul was not called on Diakite, who was making like Ralph Sampson and blocking everything. Instead, it was called on Braxton Key, who actually is a relative of Ralph Sampson. Wow.
And that's been a tough spot tonight for this North Carolina State team. They've gotten to the line 7 times now, only 3 of 7 from the foul line. Every little opportunity, Reese, that you get against this tough defense, you have to convert.
Rice makes 1 of 2. NC State has crawled back to within 6, and the pressure's on. Virginia breaks it. Now there's about 20 left on the shot clock. Jerome. Front of the rim, no good. Hunter fighting for the offensive rebound, but couldn't control it. And North Carolina State will have it back.
It's the second possession now for the Cavaliers in a row where they've not been able to secure the offensive rebound.
An 11-3 surge by the Wolfpack has them right back in it. Dorn. And on the inside, foul is going to be called.
I think that may be on Jack Salt.
Salt, I think. And that will be number 4 on Salt. And it'll be a 1-and-1 opportunity for Wyatt Walker. And Salt, who was a presence in the first half, has been plagued by some foul trouble. And at the moment, Tony Bennett's leaving him on the floor.
Recent Wyatt Walker's done a lot of good little things in this game. He took 2 charges in the first half, created 3 turnovers there. He's been on the offensive glass. I like what number 33 in white has done in the game tonight.
I want you to watch the revolutions on this shot by Walker. This thing's spinning coming out of there. He got some rotation on that.
Yeah, he does.
4-point game. Inside 8 to play in Raleigh.
Ty Jerome, number 5 in blues, got to get going here in the second half to create some separation for the Cavaliers.
DeAndre Hunter silences the crowd, at least momentarily.
Boy, he's so good when he catches it down in the post, able to turn and face you, with forces the defensive player to drop his hands and shoots it right over the top. Well executed by number 12 in blue.
Dorn. And the North Carolina State Stars are starting to warm up. Make shots. Pressure's on. This is the closest it's been since it was a 4-point game at the half. Virginia sprinted out to start the second half, but the Pack keeps scrapping.
I'd like to see DeAndre Hunter, number 12 in blue, touch it again.
How about Kyle Guy? Very quiet tonight. Diakite chases it down. Here is Hunter again. Good defense by Daniels to cut him off. Guy curling, looking for Jack Salt. Salt with the 4 fouls has a chance for a 3-point play.
How about the awareness there by Kyle Guy, number 5 in blue, falling down, still able to find Salt underneath, and Jack Salt using the offhand there, his left hand, to spin that thing off the glass. An opportunity for a 3-point play here.
.640 to go here in Raleigh. Virginia holding on to a 6-point lead.
Yeah, DJ Funderburk able to block that shot, and that was the turning point in this game. Allow NC State to get out in transition. CJ Bryce with a terrific finish there, and then a big 3-ball from Markel Johnson, and he's done a great job of getting into the middle of the floor, creating plays for his teammates. Back-to-back 3-point shots there. And that's why we find ourselves with a 6-point game here. Virginia up.
You guys just listened in on the Virginia huddle, and Tony Bennett reminding his guys to keep their composure. He's not been satisfied with their shot selection, so he wants them to continue to work for a good shot. Also defensively, they're going to change up. They're not going to switch 1 through 4 anymore.
All right, Brooke. Jack Salt missed that opportunity for the 3-point play. Diakite creating a little space. Had the shot deflected, gets it back, and Mamadi has 8.
Yeah, all 3 defenders for NC State on the right side of the floor allowed Mamadi Diakite to come up with that offensive rebound and put back unscathed.
NC State is in this game despite the fact their top 3 scorers, Dorn, Johnson, and Bryce, have 18 points. Devin Daniels, who missed that one, has picked up a lot of the slack. He is the leading scorer for the Pack tonight with 10. It's not unusual. NC State's had 6 different guys lead them in scoring different times this season. Markel Johnson's waiting to get back into the game. Markel very quiet with only 5 points, but they'll need his explosive capabilities in the last 5 and change once he gets back in. Whipped pass by Jerome. Guy has had an off shooting night. Kyle Guy hasn't made a 3. Torin Dorn now has made another. Dorn with 9.
That's now the 6th made 3 in this game, Reese.
You said they needed 10. 4 more down the stretch would bode well for the Pack as we're inside 5 minutes to go. Guy in the paint. Kyle creates a little space, and again, front of the rim. Diakite had it for a moment. Guy looked like he got fouled, but he found some friendly nighttime banking hours. Kyle with 7.
And that becomes dangerous because when you allow a shooter to be able to see it go through the net, that can get them going on the offensive end. Let's see if that happens here for Kyle Guy.
Another offensive rebound for State. Torin Dorn probably would have been better served just to go straight up without the double pump.
Yeah, and he had C.J. Bryce to his left, a little bounce pass underneath. They could have been able to come up with the deuce. Missed opportunity there by the Wolfpack. How about Kyle Guy? Sees that he has a little mismatch on the interior, tries to shoot it over the top, and instead of getting back on defense, able to corral that one and gets a lucky bank off the glass.
Right before the final media timeout, Ty Jerome's getting a rest, and Tony Bennett looked as if he looked up at the clock and said, you got to be able to finish it. He's getting him a little break until the 4-minute media timeout. Bryce can't get it to go. Braxton Key pulls away the rebound.
Yeah, Bryce a little taller there. He didn't need to fade. Should have just gone straight up and shooting it over the top. We've seen so many missed opportunities in this game for NC State.
Hunter got away with a travel, and then they call the foul on the inside. The foul was called on DeAndre, and that's 4 on him. 3:51 to go. DeAndre Hunter picks up his 4th. Will that be trouble for UVA?
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by Boost Mobile. Boost makes it easy to switch. Switching makes it easy to save. And in part by Dave & Buster's, the only place to eat, drink, play, and watch sports.
Virginia has 2 Final Four appearances in its history. 1981, they lost to North Carolina with Sam Perkins and James Worthy. In '84, they lost to Houston and Hakeem Olajuwon. Houston went on to lose to Georgetown in the national championship game. Virginia trying to get over that hump. Tony Bennett took them to the Elite 8 in 2016. And in your home pool, if you had 8:48 Eastern time for the first time either of us would mention the UMBC game, you are a winner. Last year, of course, losing the 116 matchup, first time in tournament history, something that is stuck in their side, understandably, and driven this Virginia team. But right now, they have to try to finish the deal against NC State, holding a 7-point lead, just over 3.5 to go.
Wyatt Walker, number 33 in white, was wide open with Diakite behind him. That ball's got to be delivered.
Markel Johnson over Clark. Another offensive rebound for Wyatt Walker.
Tell you what, Reese, if there were such thing as game balls in basketball, Wyatt Walker should get the game ball tonight. He's been terrific on the glass, early on the defensive end. He's been a huge key tonight for the Wolfpack.
Absolutely worked his tail off inside. He's averaging about 4 rebounds a game. He's got 6 to 9, 4 of them on the offensive glass at least. Now he has to play defense against Diakite. Mamadi fade, fire, and puts it on the front of the rim. And the Pack, they've got it back down 5.
That's great defense by Wyatt Walker.
Johnson, the swing around. Dorn has the baseline. Torin Dorn! A 1-possession game. Number 3 on the road and in a little trouble. And Tony Bennett wants to get his guys together. Hey, Metallica, they're thunderstruck in here. Virginia holding on to that three-point lead. Dorn baseline. Show it and flip it in the reverse. Took a while. Needed something to wake them up. And the Wolfpack faithful awake now, smelling the upset. They need another defensive stop. Shot clock at 10. Jerome off the Diakite screen. Ty falls and he turns it over. Wolfpack on the run. Dorn again. 1-point game. .13 for Torin Dorn. Braxton Key has it blocked by Wyatt Walker. Walker, he has it blocked. He'll go to the free throw line, and North Carolina State can take the lead.
And folks, Wyatt Walker has been absolutely brilliant in every phase of the game tonight. Now you get a chance to see a steal. Devin Daniels pitches it over, and Dorn change of speed, change of direction to the rim. And that big guy we talked about, Wyatt Walker, denying it on the interior. And who's running up the floor after the block shot gets fouled, goes to the line. Wyatt Walker is having himself a game tonight.
Walker has tied it, and if he makes this one with 89 seconds to go, NC State will lead for the first time. Jack Salt will return with those 4 fouls. Virginia uncharacteristically has turned it over 14 times tonight, including a couple of times down the stretch, looking strikingly similar to the way Clemson looked on Saturday afternoon down the gut of the game.
Got to credit NC State's defense. They've been early in the gaps and have been able to create a lot of those turnovers tonight by their defense.
But Walker had to wait and missed the free throw, and now we're tied at 53.
Kyle Guy, DeAndre Hunter have to take this game over.
Hunter, great move, and what a tip in. I don't think Salt got it. Could have been Key, but either way, it went through for Virginia. And they're up by 2 as we head toward a minute. Kevin Keats now wants a timeout. 55-53. We got to figure out who to give that last one to. I think they gave it to Jack Salt.
Yeah, and that's what happens, Reese. On dribble penetration, you get 3 guys going to the basketball, and what a nice job by Braxton Key and Jack Salt to crash the offensive glass. Able to come up with that one and tip it back in. I think you should give 1 point to one and 1 point to the other. Just split the deal.
They both had it, and the offensive glass, for the most part tonight, has been the domain of North Carolina State, but that was a big one when Virginia needed it most. So now, 55-53. Keats calls a timeout. What do you think he's trying to set up here?
What he's going to try to do is reverse the basketball through the top of the key and try to get Wyatt Walker setting a high ball screen from Markell Johnson and try to get Markell Johnson down into the painted area. And Markell Johnson's made some great plays. We've seen him pitch for a 3. We've seen him pitch for a layup underneath. Number 11 has to make a play here for his teammates.
Actually changed that basket to Key. Salt was raising his hand. He wanted it. I still think the 1 for each is the best solution.
Here comes the high ball screen here.
Shot clock at 6. Johnson on the front of the rim. There, guess who? Walker saves it. Fresh 30. They don't have to rush.
Clear the floor and let Markell Johnson take Salt off the dribble.
He does, and he can't get it to go. He follows it. And the foul is going to be on Salt, and that's going to be it for him. And it came before Markell put in the bucket, so he'll have a chance to tie it at the free throw line.
How about the recognition here by not only Markell Johnson, number 11 in white, but his teammates spreading the floor, giving him an opportunity to take the big man off the bounce. I love the recognition when you find a big on the small, clear it out, let him get to the hole. Well done there by the Wolfpack.
Jack fouls out with 5 points, 4 rebounds. His presence was bigger than that, but found foul trouble in the second half. The last one will put North Carolina State on the free throw line tonight after Kentucky and Vanderbilt. SportsCenter, John Anderson and Michael Leaves. Boy, Harden's been on fire. Rockets and Pelicans. I've noticed the Pelicans are in the news. Anthony Davis still there, apparently. College basketball and the latest from the Super Bowl. As tonight after college basketball, it's all on the ESPN app. Markel Johnson shooting free throws for the first time tonight. He's a 72% free throw shooter. Makes the first.
And Reese, should he miss the second one, I'd look for an early opportunity to try to tie the basketball up. Don't foul. There's 29.7 seconds on the clock. Try to tie the basketball up. If you can get 2 of those in a row, now you get it back. Whose possession is it right now? Virginia's? Yeah, if they can tie it up one time, now they get the possession back. So I would not foul right away.
Johnson ties it up. So there's no shot clock. 29.7. There is full court pressure. That's NC State's MO.
Do not let number 5 in blue, Kyle Guy, beat you.
Guys had a very quiet night. If Virginia's going to hold for the last shot. Jerome on Torin Dorn. Number 3 looking for the win. Jerome, runner. Ty Jerome, no. Rebound, North Carolina State. They've got a little time, and they shot it and didn't get the call, and we're going to have a little free basketball in Raleigh.
What a terrific defensive possession there by Torin Dorn. Wasn't giving up any room to Ty Jerome to try to turn a corner. Challenged it late, was forced him to shoot it a little high and missed it there. Great defensive possession there by the North Carolina State Wolfpack.
Virginia has won 49 consecutive games in which it has had a double-digit lead. They're going to have to work 5 minutes of overtime to make it an even half 100. Everybody counting all the way to 55, and Jerome's runner defended well, and we're going to OT in Raleigh. North Carolina State looked dead in the water about midway through the first half. The polar vortex was enveloping them. And suddenly, they started forcing turnovers.
Yeah.
Wyatt Walker went to work.
Yes.
They get all the way back even with Virginia, and we're going to overtime, tied at 55.
I thought that block shot by DJ Funderburk hustling down the floor at around the 4-minute mark kind of changed the direction of this game here for North Carolina State. I thought that was the pivotal play late in the game.
Virginia under Tony Bennett, 4-9 in overtime, and they've lost 4 in a row. They'll try to snap that streak. Jack Salt is fouled out. Jay Huff trying to get the tap at North Carolina State. Will try to take the lead with the first possession here in overtime.
Quality shots for North Carolina State, and don't turn the basketball over.
Virginia, one of 4 teams with only 1 loss in conference play in the ACC. Markel Johnson, 3. First lead of the night for the Wolfpack.
I believe that's the 7th made 3 in this game for NC State.
Jay Huff on the business end and 1. He'll get a chance for a 3-point play that'll even it up.
The weak side of the floor for NC State. Lost sight of Huff on the backside. Braxton Key. No ball pressure with Key. Key able to read it and throw it over the top. And folks, that's 7-1. All you need to do is get it near the rim and he'll finish.
Huff with the soft touch. He's a 70% free throw shooter. I think all of Jay's field goals tonight have been dunks.
Yes, they have. What a gorgeous stroke he has, huh?
They will develop him. He'll continue to be a force. Redshirt sophomores had a nice night close to his hometown of Durham. Markel Johnson is called for turning it over. Palming the basketball, rarely seen in the modern game.
Are you suggesting something?
I'm suggesting it often occurs. It is rarely called. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
You know what he did?
Yeah, he did.
He did. And in
he
fact, I'm not sure he didn't double dribble. It looked like he might have caught it.
Yeah.
Good call by Doug Sermons.
Indeed. Folks, your hand cannot go past the middle hemisphere of the basketball. Clearly, his hand was underneath. It's a good call by the official.
Still don't see it a lot.
Nope.
Huff putting it on the floor, and he's fouled going to the basket. I think the foul is going to be called on Markel Johnson.
I appreciate the effort by Markel Johnson, but you can see Huff on that spin was starting to lose his balance and was going to take an off-balance shot there. Wide Walker, number 30. See how he loses his balance just there, and I'm not sure he would have been able to get a clean look.
And Jay misses the first. As well as he's played tonight, if I'm North Carolina State, I'm taking my chances when Jay's trying to put somebody in the spin cycle off the back.
Exactly. That's why you don't want to foul in that situation. I'll tell you what.
An angry Kevin Hart and the most interesting man in the world looking on. Huff makes 1 of 2, and Virginia has a 1-point lead.
And Reese, I really believe that Jay Huff is going to be a stud going forward. I wouldn't at all be surprised if he's a first-team All-ACC candidate by the time he's a senior.
Braxton Key with some good defense goes out there and blocks Devin Daniels' shot. So Virginia with the lead in the ball with under 3.5 to go in the first overtime. Oh, Key was open. Huff a little late getting it to him, and that gave Daniels a chance to get back, but he's called for the foul. If he gets it there quicker, it's a dunk.
Yeah, what's happening right now is Virginia is emptying the side of the floor where the ball screen is taking place, and they're not setting a screen, they're just diving. And North Carolina State has to do a better job of making sure they're alert on the weak side to take away the dive. That's 2 straight possessions we've seen that. The first with Huff, and now this time with Braxton Key.
Key, the soft touch that you would expect from an 81% free throw shooter. Braxton with 7.
I love his versatility. Can knock down a 3-ball, can post it, handle it, rebounder, excellent defender as well.
He's enabled them. Tony Bennett was telling us today, both he and Hunter being healthy, obviously, he's enabled them to go really small if they need to, something that at times in the past has been a little problematic for the Cavaliers, and still be able to defend the way they want to.
And he's shown the ability to be able to get buckets too. He had 20 against Florida State.
Walker was discarded to the floor, and a foul will be called on Jay Huff. That's his 3rd.
See Wide Walker doing a really nice.
Yeah, there's that. There's that
little hook and hold.
Yeah, it's the hook and hold. I'm not saying it was one. I'm saying it
exactly.
That is the type of play. If grabbed and pulled on down, if Walker grabbed and pulled, that they're trying to eliminate from the game.
It was hook and hold technique.
Yes.
The follow through just wasn't there.
Wyatt Walker in double figures with 11. Makes 1 of 2.
He pulled off of that one a little too quickly.
T.A. Clark turns down the screen, and now he'll turn it around as Markel Johnson was giving the freshman all kind of trouble. And now another foul will be called on Huff, and that's 4 on him.
Reese, I watched him shoot around today when Virginia was doing stations and they were working through that play. Tony Bennett implored them not to push off to create the separation to get to the basketball. We've seen some uncharacteristically undisciplined Virginia basketball tonight on both ends of the floor.
Virginia hasn't looked as sharp as it often does, but that is the mark of a good team. Can you not play your best game and still beat a quality team on the road? That is yet to be decided, but they have a 2-point lead. And DeAndre Hunter was just doing everything in his power to avoid fouling Johnson, and Ty Jerome reaches in and tries to knock it away, and he picks up his 3rd.
And that's the 3rd time he's done that, Ty Jerome, in this game. I was talking about how undisciplined. Folks, Virginia doesn't make mistakes. They don't turn it over and they don't beat themselves. But silly plays like this tonight has really hurt the Cavaliers.
see what's going to happen tonight. The Cavaliers have Miami Saturday, and then they're off for a week before playing Duke. Maybe this is a team that needs a little break as Markel Johnson makes the first free throw, 1-point game.
But I got to give credit, a lot of credit to NC State. I think it's been their aggressive defense that's gotten Virginia unrattled here tonight.
Tied for the 6th time. Crowd coming alive. Trying to help that press.
I meant to say unsettled.
Or rattled.
Or rattled.
Jerome curling into the lane, saves himself. Kyle Guy, a Kyle Guy appearance for 3, his first 3 of the night, and it couldn't come at a better time.
And Reese, as I said earlier, number 5 in blue has to get going here in the second half, and certainly in this overtime stanza.
Johnson kicks it out. Lockett.
That's not the guy you want taking that shot here in the overtime. Now, Lockett is shooting 50% from 3, but he just, you could tell when he shot that basketball, doesn't really even have a good lather on his shoulders.
Didn't appear to be in rhythm, even though it was a bit of a step-in type 3. It wasn't that he wasn't open. That was another ill-advised pass from Jerome, and yet another turnover. 16th for Virginia. That's double their season average. And Kevin Keats is going to use a timeout. We got a 3-point lead for Virginia. 1:03 left in overtime as we check with Adnan Virk.
All right, Reese, thank you very much. Ohio State at Michigan is underway. The game is currently over on ESPN News. The Buckeyes have a 3-point lead. This game will be right here on ESPN2. Always fun when the Buckeyes and Wolverines converge. For now, back to Reese and Fonz for the finale of OT.
All right, Adnan, 3-point lead, and Fonz noticed something just as we were going to break with Markel Johnson, and they're working on his right leg over on the side now.
Yeah, I hope it's just a cramp for him, because we know he missed 3 or 4 games with a little injury, and he was literally walking on that toe, and looks like they're strapping some ice around that calf even as I speak. If he's out of the game, that's a huge loss for North Carolina State, because we've seen him knock down some threes. He's gotten in the middle of the lane and been able to make some plays for NC State. You see the trainer right there working on that, looks like the right calf.
He's played 30 minutes tonight, and we told you earlier he took a big spill in a game against Pittsburgh, missed 3 games with a back problem. He came off the bench on Saturday against Clemson and played 23 minutes, but playing Virginia will kind of wear you out under the best of circumstances. And they're working on the shin, so it may be that the shin is cramped up as he's getting massage and stretcher, maybe both of them. Yeah, maybe both the shin and the calf.
Can ill afford to lose Markel Johnson.
He's downing some liquid there and in hopes of playing the final moments of this game. Here's the Kyle Guy shot. Look, Guy doing a good job getting behind the free throw line. As Brooke Weisbrod told us earlier tonight, Kyle doesn't necessarily need to be on balance in a traditional fashion to get a good shot out.
He has an uncanny way of being able to jump and square his shoulders as he's in the air.
Get on your feet, Wolfpack. Up top in the middle, everybody.
There, as you're looking at the Virginia huddle, they're helping Markel Johnson to his feet. And now it becomes a question. He's going to the bench. So it'll be Braxton Beverly, Devin Daniels, Torin Dorn, C.J. Bryce, and Wyatt Walker on the floor at the moment. Game summary, North Carolina State has outscored UVA by 4 in the second half. And in overtime, Virginia's got the 3-point edge.
because now that puts the pressure on Braxton Beverly, who can handle it, number 10 in white, to be the facilitator. And I'd like to see him actually be off the ball because of course his ability to be able to shoot the long ball.
He hit the buzzer-beating 3-ball to beat Clemson on Saturday. Does the Pack have more heroics in the final moments? Torrin Dorn, front of the rim, and DeAndre Hunter has the rebound for Virginia.
And Reese, they had the mismatch that they wanted. Braxton Beverly had Huff guarding him. And of course, if Markel Johnson's in the game, that's Markel Johnson. He's to the front of the rim.
Finds there's a 15-second differential game and shot clock. NC State doesn't have to foul. You just need a stop.
Get to Kyle Guy.
Kyle Guy, air ball. And diving for it to try to save it was Braxton Key. He couldn't. So now NC State has 20 seconds. How do you play this? Do you try to get a quick 2? Because if Virginia stymies you for a while, you can get in a situation as a timeout is called by Virginia. If you don't get the quick 2, you get in a position where you have to shoot it.
Absolutely. And Reese, what it is, when you're playing against a great defense, and we talked about this Virginia Cavalier defense being the 3rd most efficient defense in the country, outstanding. The first available good look you get, you have to take it. Because if you don't, now all of a sudden it gets late in the clock. They clamp that D down, take away all of your driving angles. So they've got to take the first best look that they get, whether it be a 3 or 2.
Well, we mentioned what North Carolina State did on Saturday. They had a 6-point lead with less than 30 seconds to go. Clemson melted down. Braxton Beverly had the chance for the winner, and he drained it. He'd been 0 for 4 from beyond the arc and knocked down the game-winning 3. Clemson had a couple of fouls when they were up. But Marquise Reed is a terrific free throw shooter, missed 4 free throws, but you can open the door, but somebody's got to step through it, and Beverly and friends were able to do so. And Markel Johnson has returned to the floor for the final 19.9 from North Carolina State.
Yeah, it's interesting that North Carolina State's going to have Braxton Beverly, forgive me, bring the basketball up the floor, number 10 in white. At some point, if he's healthy, that ball has to end up in number 11's hands.
Beverly on the pull-up. He's got the 2. It's a 1-point game. Now, if you don't get the immediate turnover, you have to foul.
Got to foul. Yes.
And this Virginia team, free throw shooting team, they don't shoot a lot of them. They're 77% on the year. That's best in the ACC and 10th in the country in terms of percentage, but they shoot very few free throws. These will be very important. They're just 12 of 17 tonight, which is below their average. So what do you expect to see here from Virginia in terms of trying to take care of the ball in NC State?
Well, Virginia's going to get the basketball into the hands of their best ball handlers, Kyle Guy and Ty Jerome. However, NC State, when Virginia catches that basketball, Reese, I still think if they have a crowd around, there's 2 guys around the ball, I try to tie it up, because now all of a sudden you put yourself in position that the possession arrow's with you. Now all of a sudden you're tied up again. You may have 4 seconds on the clock, and that basketball's right in front of your bench.
So that is something Virginia needs to be aware of. There's no need to panic. They have the possession arrow. It's tied up.
Now, most likely, Virginia will make sure the floor is spread, and with a spread floor, if it's inbounded, now you got to foul. You got to go for the steal or foul right away.
Virginia has a couple of timeouts left. North Carolina State has exhausted its supplies. We're playing in overtime. Virginia's won 26 of its last 28 against ACC competition. The 2 losses by a grand total of 3 points.
Wow.
Including a 2-point loss to Duke this year, their only loss of the season. So 8 seconds left. North Carolina State loves to play full court and put the pressure on, so this is not something unusual for them. See if they can force a turnover. Jerome has a little trouble getting it in. And Lockett almost got the steal, and DeAndre Hunter was fouled by Torrin Dorn, 5.2 to go.
Well executed there by NC State, making it difficult for Virginia to get that basketball in bounds. And the awareness to try to foul right away. These are big free throws here for Hunter. A 79% free throw shooter.
And 4 of 6 tonight, Fonz. 5 of 7.
Correction.
NBA scouts very high on him. His offensive role is just expanded this year.
He's got a little bit of Kawhi Leonard in him. I'm not saying that he's Kawhi Leonard. But
Stylistic.
Yes, he's got a little Kawhi Leonard in him.
3-point lead.
Quick push here with Markell Johnson.
NC State needs a 3. Will Virginia foul? They fouled out there, and it's going to be a foul on a 3-pointer as Hunter ran into him and in the process fouled out of the game. Wow. So with .9 to go, Markell Johnson will have the opportunity to tie it up again and likely send us to a second overtime.
And I'm concerned about him a bit, Reese, because you know that calf is bothering him. And that's a good call by the official. He's got to be given room to land. And I know what happened is, Reese, it wasn't like he was leaning into him necessarily. It's just that his forward momentum because of the dribble took him into that space.
So you like the call?
I do like the call. Yes. When I was in the NBA, I hated that call. Yeah. Reese, I'm concerned about him, though, because it can create a little imbalance when your calf is bugging you on one side. So he's got to really lock in and focus in to make sure he's got a good follow-through and not leaning one side or the other.
72%. He's made all 4 tonight. And he misses the first. So he needs to make this one and then miss the next one and see if they can tip it in. There's one of them for Markell. Now this one has to be a miss with .9 to go. There's a chance, there's enough time to grab it and shoot it back up. You gotta do it quickly, but it doesn't have to just be a tip.
And Reese, I'd like to see North Carolina State with number 0, Funderburk in white, and number 33, Wyatt Walker, just do a quick cross X on the interior, try to get on the inside to tap that basketball in as it comes off the rim.
That might be what Tony Bennett's expecting. Want to make sure that his guys are ready for that as Virginia uses a timeout. Johnson's made some big plays down the stretch, Fonz, but that's, I mean, he's a decent free throw shooters, had a good night tonight. Just as in this building on Saturday, you hated to see Marquise Reed had the struggles at the line down the stretch that he did, and then Markell with a chance, if he could have made all 3 of them to tie it. Misses that first one, and now NC State need a big-time play, and they have less than a second to do it.
And, Reese, I still wonder if that right leg's still giving them trouble because, like I said, if it's bothering you a little bit, and all of a sudden you try to compensate for it, and you saw where that ball hit the rim, it bounced off the right-hand side, and that makes sense because you would usually miss left. But he's got to make this one, intentionally miss the second one.
Diakite and Huff with the low positions on the lane against Funderburk and Walker.
Walker should take a diagonal cut right in front of Jay Huff, number 30 in blue, to try to get inside position. DJ Funderburk on the opposite side should do the same.
Johnson puts it up high, and he inadvertently made it. So now, I mean, you got to foul quickly. He was hoping to get the high bounce off the rim, and Guy gets rid of it wisely, and Virginia comes in and escapes by 1. Not the Cavaliers' A game. North Carolina State fought him to the bitter end, 66-65. Number 3 survives in overtime. Coming up next, Ohio State at number 5, Michigan. For LaFonso Ellis and Brooke Weisbrod, I'm Reese Davis. Our entire ESPN crew thanks you. Appreciate you watching. Good night from Raleigh. Let's go to Frozen A Squared.